Welcome back, everybody. Today we've got the top 12 free agents going into the 2026 offseason. I included both offensive and defensive players for this list. And before we get into it, I would really appreciate it if you guys hit the subscribe button. It truly means a lot. And without further ado, let's start it from the bottom here. With number 12, it is Nakobe Dean out of the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, a prolific linebacker that was part of that Super Bowl winning defense that really put Patrick Mahomes in a torture chamber. However, his injury struggles have been the main kind of restriction from him being a top five free agent this offseason. He's still going to command a lot of interest from a lot of teams trying to beef up their linebacker position or just kind of overall defensive philosophy. He plays fast and he's super physical, especially going downhill. So I really like Nakobe Dean. I think he could be a good fit for a lot of teams that are trying to beef up their defense, whether that's the Chicago Bears or other teams where you feel like you're a few players away on the defensive side of the ball. I think the Bills would also be a great fit. But all things point towards the Eagles trying to bring him back. They have that Georgia identity with all of the defensive players, being mostly from Georgia. However, I would really like to see Nakobe Dean be able to stay on the field more, but no doubt one of the high potential free agents that are available in the market. And then going on to number 11, we've got Reek Woolen from the Seattle Seahawks. A little bit of a down year for him as far as productivity. I know his PFF score was a little bit lower. People were trying to actually target him in coverage as far as going against Seattle. However, part of this defense is just kind of no weak links, and he's just an absolute ball hawk flying to the ball. I really like him and Eman Wari working together on the field at the same time. The Seattle defense is so physical, and I think they'll definitely try and re-sign him. I don't think there's any world in which he actually leaves unless he's trying to command more money than he really deserves, because Seattle does have a lot of cap room, and it makes sense to try and keep this defense as kind of as much continuity as possible going into 2026 after such a great year. But yeah, Tariq Woolen is an absolute baller and should definitely be worthy of a lot of different teams' offseason notice. And back into our top 10 here, it's going to be Khalil Mack, edge rusher from the Los Angeles Chargers. I feel like this time is probably come for Khalil Mack unless he just enjoys LA and being in the weather. However, with Jesse Minter now gone from the Los Angeles Chargers going to the Baltimore Ravens, I wouldn't be shocked if he just follows his defensive coordinator. I think they really had a strong connection going into 2025, and he's always been productive as part of LA's pass rush. It's just been the fact that other people around him can't stay healthy. This defense played well down the stretch. However, if Khalil Mack wants any like Super Bowl contending window as he continues to age into his career, I think other teams would probably fit him better. And I feel like the Ravens are the perfect fit in the sense that they need guys that need to stay healthy on defense in order to be productive. And that's one thing Khalil Mack has done over the last few years. His availability is always crucial. Barring a few minor injuries, Khalil Mack is always on the field, giving it 110%. So any team with a young defensive team and a new head coach would love Khalil Mack, as he's just a leader amongst men on the defensive side of the ball and a true veteran that could really actually produce on the field. Unlike a lot of these other guys that you bring in just as mentors, he is still very capable of a multi sack year. So Khalil Mack comes in at number 10. But at number 9, we got Rasheed Walker. He's actually one of the best tackles available in this free agent class, which, yes, is a very, very valuable position in football. So don't be surprised if the Green Bay Packers are very aggressive after him. However, other teams are going to be as well. You're always looking for more protection. And in an NFL draft class that is a little bit weak on the offensive line, you really have two main tackles in Maui Noah and Fano from Utah and Miami, respectively. However, that really drops off after that, and a lot of these other draft classes from previous years are loaded with offensive linemen. However, this this NFL draft really sets up more of a defensive and playmaker type draft, loaded at wide receiver and edge rushers, and as well as the back end, a lot of good corners in this NFL draft. So the bargain price of Rasheed Walker is only going up, and he's going to be a very, very interesting name to watch this offseason. Number 8 is going to be John Franklin Myers, defensive end of the Denver Broncos. I'm going to be honest. I don't see them letting him go. This defense was very good. They fizzled out a little bit towards the end of the year as far as stopping the run. We saw against Buffalo in the playoffs. They were just doing whatever they wanted. Yes, Denver was able to win, but it was kind of the culmination of this Denver defense where they got behind the sticks in the sense that they let teams run all over them, which then forced them to stack the box. And their main kind of strength as a defense is playing coverage and playing one-on-one on the outside with Surtain and Riley Moss and all these good playmakers, but they were forced out of that by not having a strong front four and overall run stuffers. So I think they bring back Franklin Myers. He was part of this front four that was very good to start the year. I think they bring in more depth. I think that was a big downfall of the Denver Broncos defense, but going forward, I think Franklin Myers is one of the best players on the market for NFL free agency and continues to ball out every single year. At number 7, we got Alec Pierce, so the first offensive player outside of the O-lineman here in the 2026 free agency class, and I think Alec Pierce is one of the most underrated wide receivers we have in the NFL. Back-to-back years, he led the league in ADOT, which is average depth of target. He is an absolute beast down the field as well as in the red zone, and especially with these backup quarterbacks for whatever it was Phillip Rivers and Riley Leonard. They just love targeting Alec Pierce. I think he's going to command a lot of teams' attention who are needing wide receivers. Whether that's the Patriots, the Niners, all these other teams that feel like they're a piece away from a Super Bowl contending roster. So I like Alec Pierce to drop maybe like $25 million annual year salary, and I don't think the Colts have the money to really afford him. I think they'll probably move forward with Pittman, Josh Downs, and Tyler Warren and try and make do in that revolving wide receiver 3 spot. But Alec Pierce is just an absolute beast, and I think he's going to be another name to watch. Now into our top half, it's going to be Devin Lloyd from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Another team I don't think you want to break up any pieces. He's going to cost a lot to bring back, but this defense was fast and physical all year long. A tough playoff exit by Buffalo for the Jaguars. However, this defense played so well, especially in that game and all the games prior. They get to the quarterback like no other defense can, and Devin Lloyd's a part of that. Being a ball hawk linebacker that can also step up and attack the quarterback but drop down into coverage. Not many guys can actually do that to the skill that he can. So I like the Jaguars to bring him back, but they'll definitely have to pay top dollar to do so. Number 5 is going to be Jalen Phillips from the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a big acquisition by Howie Roseman at the deadline. They got him for like a third-round pick. I don't think you want to trade a third-round pick to not re-sign your guy. However, Phillips was very productive in Philly, and I think from a business perspective, him and his agent will have to talk about how, I bet he enjoyed being part of a winning team and also being very productive while doing so. I think the Vic Fangio scheme played very well for Jalen Phillips to get productive sacks and tackles for loss. So it'll be interesting, but there's no doubt that other teams are going to be interested. But I think Philly got a head start by trading for him at the deadline to really pique his interest and see what he's capable of when he's surrounded by all this talent. Number 4, we got Breece Hall, the first running back here. Some other running backs that are free agents, I will do a whole nother video a few days down the line. However, for now, we'll just talk about Breece Hall, who is the number 1 free agent in this 2026 class. I think he just really needs a time to shine. I think he's probably a top 7 running back in the NFL as far as talent is considered, but he's been the lone bright spot on this Jets offense for way too long and doesn't get the national media respect that he really deserves. So teams like the Houston Texans, Kansas City Chiefs, even the Chargers were interested at the deadline for getting him. I don't know if that'll be still part of their plan now that they moved on from Greg Roman, who loves to use 2 running backs. So I think the Chiefs and the Texans are the main teams to watch for Breece Hall. And in either landing spot of those, I think he's going to absolutely ball out. He'll probably be like a first-round pick in fantasy if he goes to the Chiefs, and I don't see any reason why you would argue against that. He's super talented. He's a big play waiting to happen. He's also very productive in the receiving game, good in pass pro. He's everything you want in a running back, and it's usually rare to find a guy that you can sign. Granted, you're going to have to pay a top dollar price for Breece Hall, but for the next 3 to 4 years, he's still in his prime and is going to continue to dominate. Number 3, back to the O-line, it's going to be Tyler Linderbaum. Center is such a crucial position. He might not get paid as the other offensive tackles or guards will, but center is so crucial for an NFL team to function, and Linderbaum has been so good. Pro Bowler for the Ravens, defending or protecting Lamar Jackson. So he has experience with mobile quarterbacks, getting down the field and blocking. One thing that I really like while watching the film is that he just never quits on the play. He always finishes all these blocks. So Lamar can be scrambling downfield for like 10 seconds here around the pocket, and Linderbaum's still glued, pancaking his defender. So I like him as a top center who's usually not available there's usually not a good big crop of centers in free agency. So he's going to draw a lot of interest, but any team that's trying to beef up their line or just get good continuity, you can sign him to a long year contract and really set up that chemistry with a quarterback, knowing that he is a trusty, reliable center down the road. Into our top two, at number two, it's going to be George Pickens from the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if Jerry will actually open up his pockets and pay him like top dollar price. I think in my expectation, it's probably just going to be the franchise tag, but he is going to command a lot of teams' attentions because who wouldn't want George Pickens? I think every other team in the division too would want George Pickens. So I think the Cowboys are going to do their best to really keep him in-house. This offense is top 3 in the NFL, and I'm fairly confident saying that, but everything really changes when you take out George Pickens because with CeeDee Lamb struggles to stay healthy on the field for the past 2 years, you could really fall into a rut. If they didn't have Pickens, you're just counting on like Jalen Tolbert and other guys that really don't have any opportunities in their previous experience. So I like Pickens to stay in Dallas, but no doubt he is a top 2 talent on this free agent market. And at number 1, it is our cover photo here. It's going to be Trey Hendrickson. He's been kind of the storyline of discussions in the offseason, week 1 holdout. Signed that 1-year incentive-based deal. He missed some time with the hip injury that really kind of delayed his return, but the Bengals really had no defensive identity and were out of playoff contention, so I don't blame Hendrickson for maybe just taking a few games off, but he still had super, super high interest from the Lions, the Patriots, and the Niners as far as pass rushing edge help at the deadline. The Bengals didn't opt to trade him, but I think they're going to miss out here now that he hits the open market. I don't think they're going to franchise tag him, so they probably could have gotten some value by actually trading him at the deadline, but I think they're going to walk away empty-handed, and I think Detroit in particular is probably going to throw a massive bag at him to just get some pass pressure alongside Aiden Hutchinson and really help him out. But he definitely is worthy of the number 1 spot in our free agent class, and that is going to do it for the top 12. So if you made it this far, I really appreciate it and would love it if you hit the subscribe. But other than that, it is going to do it for the video. Peace.